Transformers reviews, tech and the news, whatever else I use as a muse. Hit subscribe, I appreciate the views. Influences interest on YouTube.
What's going on, people? This is Inflewence, and today I have a story time. Shout out to Dare2727. He got his own channel, so check that out. I'll have a link in the description. Also, my boy Anarchy. They both been supporting the channel for a long time. Anarchy does too. That's one of my good friends. So they both said I should do story time with Influence. So I'm gonna do a new segment. I'm gonna try to make it every Friday or every other Friday. I don't know if I have enough stories. I probably will though, because I have a lot of stories. I'll probably go into some old stuff. Like, it won't just be Transformers. This just happens to be how I started into collecting Transformers as an adult. Now, back in the day, you know, I was an avid Transformers fan, of course, as we all were, who grew up in the 80s. So that ignited my love, but Transformers was like #1 for me, which it still is. It's #1 80s cartoon. It's #1 franchise that I enjoyed. So starting with that just ignited the fire, as it did with all of us. I'm gonna try to be as coherent as possible with telling this story, but it might be a little entertaining if I'm not, because, you know, I like to go all over the place and sometimes I lose my train of thought. Sometimes what I need to get better, especially in reviews, I sometimes talk about stuff and I start talking about something, then I lose my thought and I go on to something else and I never go back to that. I recognize that that's an issue. So bear with me. Fast forward, when my son was younger, he started watching Transformers Prime, which I know a lot of people hold in high regard, and I understand why. The stories were great. He got me into watching it. I caught up on Netflix. They had all the seasons on Netflix, or they used to. I don't know if they still do. No, the licensing works temporarily. But then I started buying him some of the figures. Of course, we saw the Bayformers movies. That was his kind of introduction, because I wasn't like really into Transformers as an adult. I didn't watch the cartoon. I didn't show him the movie. Yeah, bad parent, I know. I didn't show him the movie till later on. Let me put it that way. He saw the movie as a kid, but it wasn't while the Bayformers was out. That was his first introduction, which is why I cut people that are into Bayformers some slack. Even though I don't like it as much, I understand if that's your first introduction, it's gonna be love. You know, it's gonna be what you know, what you've grown to know. You know, you might get into other lines later, but especially if you're at a certain age, that's all you know. Like, all you know is what's out, what was big while you were impressionable. Let me put it that way. Because we all were impressionable as kids. That's why they made the cartoon, to make us buy the toys. It was just so happened that the shit was cool as hell, and you know, it was like a puzzle robot that turned into other shit. Like, so you had 2 toys and 1 and all that stuff. Everything that resonates with a kid, that's what it is. It's kind of like my story about the Headmasters in my review for Cerebros. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Fast forward as an adult. So I was looking at some of the stuff that I bought for him one day as an adult, and I'm like, this stuff was pretty cool. Like, I bought him everything. I didn't just buy him Bayformers. I bought him some of the generations, like Springer. I mean, I have them now. Brainstorm. All those great figures that came out during that time. Thrilling 30s. Like, I bought him all those too. He didn't know what it was, but he played with it. He liked it. It was Transformers. So I looked at some of those figures later on, and I'm like, yo, these figures are cool. So I never threw any of that stuff away. I have all his figures, unlike RIP to my mom, but she threw away all my shit. I wasn't mad at her for it, because at the time I was like, chuck it. Well, no, I wasn't like chuck it, but I wasn't hurt as much as I am in hindsight now that I'm a collector. So that happened. Today I was just cruising YouTube and I saw somebody reviewing something. I can't remember what it was. I kind of think I know who it was. I'm only gonna say one reviewer's name, of course. Y'all know, and you will find out why, Bobby Scarface is such influential, like why I name drop him a lot, because in this story you'll see. So I came across one reviewer, like I said, I don't want to name him. I think I know who it was. He's still reviewing today, but it was kind of like, just like, here's this what this is, and this is what it does. So it was just really like a showcase. It wasn't really a review to me. It wasn't saying the good and the bad and the, whatever, the real terribleness or the greatness. It was just saying like, this is it, this is the thing. Now this is gonna coincide. I'm gonna do another story time talking about how I got into YouTube reviews. This is kind of gonna be mixing with it, and that's gonna kind of be mixing with it because the reason I got into collecting and reviews is kind of the same. And BSF was the same person that got me into reviewing stuff and got me into collecting. So I watched this review and I'm like, all right. So I went on Amazon and ordered all of the Aerobots. I think it was Cabana Wars. I think that's the first figures I bought myself as an adult for myself. Cabana Wars Aerobots. I don't think they were out yet because I had to pre-order them. I think they were pre-ordered on there. And when they came in, they came all at once in one box. So I just remember fooling with them and thinking they were great at the time. So that's funny because, not that they're terrible, but if you know me, the Aerobots are some of my favorite, I think I just spoke on it. Aerobots are one of my favorite teams, Cabana teams. So I always get stuff that they put out. They actually look pretty good, and combining it looked pretty good. So me, as coming in, not knowing about third party, not knowing about anything. Third party was like not new, but I didn't even know about Masterpiece at this time. So fast forward to, I come across this dude in this skull mask, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? Like, what is he doing? Why is he fiddling with this transformer and looking like he's about to break? So that's my introduction to Skullface. I for the life of me, I don't want to lie and say what review it was because I can't remember. I may put it on the screen because I know I can look at the dates, and if I go back and look at the dates and see, because I know around the time it was. He was the first reviewer that I subscribed to. Then I saw another review of, I think, a Masterpiece product. I had no idea what Masterpiece was, blew me away. Next day, I went into Toys R Us, rest in peace, Toys R Us. I know it's back in different forms, but in New Jersey, we don't have any. Well, I think that's a lie. I think there may be one up North Jersey. Somebody was saying something about it. I don't know. I don't know if it's up North Jersey or not. Don't quote me. Anyway, there's none around here, but there was like a ton. There was like 3 close to me. So I went to Toys R Us, was just in there fooling around. I think I was on my lunch break at work and went to Toys R Us, and I saw, what is it, Sunfire? I don't know, the yellow jet. I can't even think of his name right now. Oh, that's bad. It was my first MP. My first foray into any of the higher end Transformers. I came in Sunstreaker. Not Sunstreaker. That's fucking used right now. Sunstorm. That's it. Sunstorm. Thing is glorious. I wasn't really familiar with Sunstorm, but the fact that it was the only Masterpiece there, and I saw it, and I'm like, I think it was like $65. Woo, the good old days. $65 for a Masterpiece. You paying $65 for a Legends figure right now. I bought it. In the car, opened it up, and was amazed. I think that was it for me. I went back, saw another review from Bobby, and it was Warbitron. Warbitron was my first third-party figure. I bought all of them, all 5 figures in a set. Not in a set because it came in separate boxes, but they all came at the same time. You know, I put them all in my cart. Back then, you ain't had to pre-order. I think Warbitron was out for a while, but that changed the game for me. When I got Warbitron and I started messing with that, I was amazed. Like, I was done. There was no turning back. Subscribed to Bobby. I started, even though I think I subscribed to Bobby before that. I don't know, I get my facts kind of confused sometimes, but I was subscribed to Bobby and he was putting out content. Every time he put something out, he was saying the real, which comes to me like why I kind of, I get into that maybe with YouTube, because there's somebody else that really influenced me with YouTube that's not a Transformer reviewer. It's actually 3 people that made me do YouTube, but he's one of them, and I talk a little bit about it because before him I saw people just saying, oh, this is great. And I know people think he's overcritical sometimes of figures, but I really appreciate it. I think our level of wiring is kind of the same. There's a lot of things we have in common, and I think as far as he's a little more critical than I am with figures sometimes. So, but I know that, and I think that's what it comes down to when you're, I know I'm sidebarring, but when you're trying to pick out reviewers to review, I understand if I'm not for you, I'm not for you. Look at one of his videos and know exactly what I'm getting from a figure. So that's what got me into collecting. Long story short, coming around in a circle, that's what got me to collecting. Now I almost buy everything. I was exclusive. I kind of switched to, I bought some masterpieces, but then third party just blew me away. So I was exclusively third party for a while. Then the mainline started getting a little better, and I started buying some mainline figures. I still got a lot of mainline figures I was trying to sell for a while. I may keep them, I may display them. So that is the story of how I started collecting Transformers as an adult. Now I see it booming. Like, this was, I don't even know what year this was. I have to go back and really look to see what year this was. I didn't do no research. Story time. We go off on tangent. Just know this is what you get. But yeah, I don't know if it's 2015. Yeah, it may be 2015, maybe 2014 when I got into collecting. So yeah, I look at my collection and I say, damn, I got a lot of stuff. But at the same time, it's been 7 or 8 years worth of buying stuff. So you can break it down and it's not bad. That concludes our story time. I don't know, I may include different things. I may go on tangents in story time. So this is just the first story time. Appreciate anybody that's been watching, that watched until this point. And I will get up with you in another video.
Ain't over, life ain't over, life ain't over, life ain't over. As long as you alive, you can give another try and take it real high.